Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me and my fabulous guests for Coffee and Conversation this afternoon. And depending on your time zone, it could be coffee and cocktails. It could be really anything, right? Just we're on the cusp of the weekend and we're here to enjoy and learn and have a really wonderful discussion about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is next chapters. You know, when something really ends and something new begins, you look back on your life and they're in such stark relief. And my three panelists today have all made that happen intentionally. And so we wanted to talk to all of them about what they did and what it was like and what some of the obstacles may have been and some of the joy that came out of it. But first, I'd like to remind you, and if you were at the conference at the end of August, this was my wonderful panel with Kendyl and Gina and Piper. And so we thought we'd bring them back again because we only had, I think we had 27 minutes. And Deborah and Sarah, we were happy with our 27 minutes. It was great, but we have more to say. So let me start. Let me start with Gina and just go around my screen and just give us a little bit of your background for anybody who may not have the pleasure of knowing you already.
Sure. Thank you. I'm Gina Piper. I am the co-founder and owner of Elation Real Estate in Pleasanton, California, which is in the East Bay. I've been a broker for 27 years. And we opened our doors January of 2020, which was, of course, interesting right before the pandemic. And prior to that, I was loyal to the same brokerage for my entire career, 24 years, which happened to be a brokerage that my mother owned.
Wonderful, Gina. Thank you. Piper, tell us about you and tell us about the screen behind you first. That's really incredible.
Well, it's either this or my Peloton, and you don't need to be looking at my Peloton.
Yeah, you can look at my Peloton. There's that.
But you're hiding it, so that's so funny. Well, yeah. So I have this screen up. It's kind of like my artsy blockchain background, you know. So because I do have a background in blockchain and crypto, so it's kind of apropos, right? But yeah, I am the founder and CEO of the Crypto Realty Group. We've been in business since about 2017. There has been a bear market in there, and now we're in another one. So it's another time for growth in both sectors, actually. And yeah, I mean, I've been a realtor for 7 years, and I fell into the crypto thing about a year and a half into my career, and it just kind of took off and became my niche.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It kind of reminds me of this movie way back in the day called Fantastic Voyage, where they essentially they make you tiny and inject you into someone's body and you're off and running.
Pretty much.
You're dating yourself there. I was thinking Tron myself, so you know.
I know. Okay, Kendyl, how about an intro bio from you, please?
Oh, good God. Well, first of all, I'm excited, Gina, that you're a second-gen real estate agent as well. So, you know, same Z for me. Let's see. Aside from my mother being a real estate agent, I have been supporting myself for 36 years, almost 37 years as a real estate agent, the last 7 or 8 of them as the owner of a small boutique brokerage. And just before the pandemic, I made a left-hand turn and started dabbling in accessory dwelling units, entering into an industry that is even more difficult for the consumer than the real estate industry, which is the construction industry. Wow, so many lessons to learn. And doing accessory dwelling units, it was going to be a side hustle while I figured out what's going on with this whole COVID thing. And well, yeah, so now this is what I do, accessory dwelling units. It's super cool.
Very cool. And with the supply of housing scarce, it seems like across the country, and new starts are plummeting. So we're gonna need that more than ever.
I think accessory dwelling units will be as ubiquitous to residential housing as second bathrooms are today.
You too. That's a great reminder. So we're going to talk about new topics that emerge from the discussion at Women Up. But I did want to start with asking everybody to give a kind of a synopsis overview of what the one or several chapter changes that they have been that they're going to be referring to. And I want to go back to Gina, and I don't want to forget to say that Gina is a 5'2" powerhouse. And yes, she is. So Gina, give us a description, because it's pretty incredible what you did with your life, or have done so far. Yeah.
Well, oh, thank you. You mean a physical description of all 5'2" of me? Thank you. So are you asking about the pivotal moments in my life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just kind of setting the stage for why we thought you would be so great in terms of next chapters. And you kind of blew us all away, to be honest with you.
Oh, thank you. That's super kind. I would say one of the biggest pivotal moments was both professionally and personally, and that is when I chose to literally up and move to Maui. I had gone through a number of changes in my life. First of all, I had gone through a divorce. I had been in the business for about 10 years at the time, and I was not happy. I was making a lot of money. I was doing a lot of business, and none of that actually matters. The money doesn't matter if you are so unhappy. And that's where I was. I let my clients run me. I was working, it's what seemed to be 24/7. And it was quite a miserable experience, or existence, I should say. And, you know, we all get in the business for two reasons: freedom and to make a lot of money. And sadly, the freedom oftentimes goes away. So and oftentimes a lot of people don't make money. So it's sad to see. But I decided that I'm just going to get up and leave and move to Maui. I called it a radical sabbatical. It was a huge decision to make. I did commute back and forth. This lasted for about 5 years. So I did work a little bit. I actually was licensed in Maui as well, or in Hawaii, but I didn't do much sales there. I mostly kept some of my business. I also had someone cover for my business, which worked out in some ways, but I did lose a lot of business. The bottom line is it didn't matter me losing the business, because the change in me was so big. So really, I wanted to learn how to sleep again. I suffered from insomnia, horrible insomnia. So I wanted to teach myself how to sleep. I wanted to teach myself meditation and yoga. On my vision board, I had both pictures of Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer on my vision board. And interestingly, during that first couple of years, I met both of them. And I ended up traveling. I ended up really diving deep into yoga. I started teaching yoga, and I ended up traveling with Deepak Chopra around the world and teaching for the people that attended his seminars. So it ended up just being a phenomenal experience where I just learned how to take care of me and figure out how to find that balance. By the way, I still absolutely struggle with balance, so I do not have it all figured out. But it helped dramatically. And I also didn't want to, and I know so many of us women and men probably too can appreciate this. I didn't want to make the same mistake again and marry another of the same guy. Right. So I wanted to heal from that marriage, and I wanted to learn about myself and figure out how do I not make that mistake again. So the next time around, I can really live a healthy life and have a healthy marriage. So there was so much good that came out of doing that. So.
Right. I mean, the way you grabbed intention and said, I'm really going to think about this time. This time, it's not going to be, which narcissist shall I pick next?
Yes, exactly.
Piper, your next chapter involves quite a few interesting things, including crypto, which I'm sure I'm not the only one here that doesn't quite get it, even though we've read a lot about it. But tell us how you got to this point and what it entailed.
Well, it's funny because the universe tends to make decisions for me, because I dip my toe in, and then all of a sudden I'm like flailing in the deep end, so that's just how I roll it apparently. But yeah, I mean, I got into real estate just as a side hustle because I was in the entertainment industry, and I just needed something to fill my hiatuses and all that. And then while I was working on a show, I got a call from a random buyer from like realtor.com or something, on a Saturday, and just say, hey, I'm looking for houses in Manhattan Beach. Okay, great. Dropped everything, go show him some, houses, and we hit it off. And he said, oh, by the way, I'm going to buy this with Bitcoin. And I was like, okay, and then we were just kind of off to the races after that.
Let me Google that.
What's that?
I said, let me Google that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's funny because like I remember reading about it in 2009. Had I acted on it in 2009, I'd be in Fiji right now with, not even like, so it just kind of like, that was my path that I ended up embracing. And not only did we do one successfully, we did 5 successfully, and then it really took, excuse me, because when you got your head down, you're not really sometimes paying attention to what's out there, and then a colleague of mine said, this might be a thing, you might want to look at this, this could be a niche. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And so I ended up starting a company, and then all of a sudden I'm like propelled to this expert level status and being asked to speak all over the country about crypto and blockchain. And I remember being invited to my very first speaking engagement in New York. It was the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. And I'm like, I know nothing about blockchain, so I got a course online, and I watched it on the flight over so I could at least not sound like an idiot, and that just kind of opened up all these other doors. And now I'm, getting, thank goodness, paid lots of money to travel around and teach this stuff, so I mean, I could not have a better job right now on top of my real estate. Lovely.
It's interesting, Saga, that sometimes when you're just open to the universe, it just comes. And I remember it took me years to figure out, what do they mean, like be open to the universe? And then I finally figured out,
Yeah.
It's like if someone suggests, hey, you might want to look into it, you go, I'll look into it.
Yeah,
And there you did.
Sometimes it has to come to me a few times in order to me go, oh yeah, okay, well maybe I should probably read that book, or but yeah, I'm a little thick sometimes, so
Yeah.
gotta be
You
hit
don't
over the
want to
head.
be buffeted by every change in the wind, but on the other hand, you want to really be open to things that you wouldn't have thought of on your own. But
Yes.
anyway, so Kendyl, it's great to see you. I think you and I have kind of dovetailed in terms of the tenure that we've been in the real estate industry, and it's just so thrilling to see you at the cusp of what will be a big part of the solution, I think, to affordable housing, at least for some people. So tell us what happened and how you got there.
Real estate, the mission of helping people solve for home is such a near and dear thing to my heart. But the activity of dealing with the real estate transaction, it could take a lot out of you. And when I've been through I think it's been 4 full economic cycles at this point, and I was probably tired of dealing with the day-to-day hand-to-hand combat of real estate sales halfway through it, maybe. But I've got a family to support, and I'm really good at it. So, it was basically what happened, and we're going to talk about money a little bit later. But I started dealing with the ADUs, and it's another way to fulfill a mission of helping families form, community and place and home, right? And generational wealth and a lot of other things. So that was really, really cool. And it started becoming more fun than the hand-to-hand combat of real estate, because there's a lot of real estate agents, but there's not that many people who know enough about ADUs and construction to help people figure out what they could do, how they're going to do it, and where, right? And so it was the money thing that actually helped. I finally accepted that maybe I don't have to scramble for food, shelter, and clothing. So I could do something that is fun that may or may not be financially successful.
Right.
I mean, I know how to make it financially successful. I just don't want to do that. So like I'm old
Right.
and cranky and I only want to do the things I want to do. So,
Well,
there's that.
it's one of the joys of getting older, and just seeing your
Yeah.
perspective change from scarcity
Yeah.
to abundance is
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
incredible gift that you can give yourself, right?
Yes.
Anyway, okay, let me start here with Piper on some of the new topics. And one of the things I want to talk about is a topic that's near and dear to my heart as well, and that's imposter syndrome. I mean, literally every day of my life feeling like so lucky that I got hired, and that I'm this may be like a boomer thing, but just feeling like, oh my God, they're going to find out, and I'm going to be out of here. So I just was curious, because one of you did mention it in August, if that resonates, how you addressed it, what you think about it. And I want to start with you, Piper.
Yeah, that's a big topic for me. I mean, it's something that I'm constantly working on. I mean, I was even in like a meditation group last night, and that came up, so I'm constantly working on this. I'm constantly journaling, mantras, meditating, I mean, that's just how I do things. And I'm not going to say that I'm completely over it, but, I have to constantly remind myself, wait, I do know what I'm doing here. There's, and even if I miss, like if I said something wrong and, something in the crypto world changed and I might not be right about it, I'm still okay, and it's like the world's not going to crumble and I'm not going to get like misquoted in the New York Times or something, like, it's not, the world's not going to fall apart. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's just like a constant thing with me, and it goes, when I speak, when I teach, I just have to compartmentalize it and just forget about it, and then just act as if, I mean, I took acting classes for a very long time in my 20s and 30s, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to play this part now. And, that's how it helps me anyway. And even talking to other women about it, I think a lot of us have that just ingrained in us, just because we're just, women, which sucks, honestly, but it's just kind of like a reality right now.
Yeah, I like, the fake it till you make it or whatever, but I know what you're saying. Like you just kind of put the armor on and off you go. So
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for that. What about you, Kendyl? Any imposter syndrome?
Oh no, not at all.
Symptoms?
No,
Not at all.
I'm all
Oh,
good.
good.
Yeah, totally good. Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah. I thought about this question a lot since you asked it. And what I think is important to point out is that our industry in particular, but our society in general, what is valued is not necessarily what I'm good at. Yeah. Like in the real estate industry, what is valued is being number one, selling more units than anybody else, having a bigger name, having a freaking billboard, which I did have once, but we won't talk about that. It wasn't my idea. The things
Next
that
panel, we'll be doing billboards.
Okay. All right. Right on. Just so many things are lauded and trotted out on stage. And I'm not good at any of those things. And so as a result, people are like, oh, I thought you were a really big agent. It's like, I've never been a big agent. I actually have serious problems with big. I'm really good at what I do, but I'm not, like the volume thing. It's never been my deal. And because of it, I feel like an imposter because I don't have the credentials that everybody else in this industry thinks is important. So every time I'm trotted out on stage, I laugh and I cut up jokes and I'm horrifically entertaining, but I mostly am wondering what the hell I'm doing on the stage. Because I didn't do 100 million last year, right? I'm not number one, but I couldn't be number one. I don't like that. So
Not you.
So there you go.
It's interesting. One of the things that John is telling me, because I'm a huge imposter syndrome
Which is
victim
really
or not.
funny,
I
Leslie,
just,
because I've been worshiping you for
well,
several decades.
this is, thank you. And this is what John says to me. He said, Leslie, see yourself the way others see you. And I would just encourage everyone on this show today to really think about that the next time they go down that rabbit hole of I know nothing, I'm not good enough, and blah 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 blah. It's like, see yourself as others see you. So
Yeah, I don't know that any of us feel like we know nothing. It's just that what we are, at least the women that are on this call, we're so good at what we do. It's just not what is necessarily popular. It's not a soundbite. So it's hard not to discount yourself because of that.
well, I just my impression of you is so big.
Yeah. Well,
You know, and it's I think I hear that dichotomy, and I think that's what the imposter syndrome is kind of all about. So thank you for sharing that. What about you, Gina?
I definitely wholeheartedly battle with this on the daily. And I think that's hard for probably people to see. For all of us, it's probably hard for people to understand why any of us would feel that way, or really anyone on this call, because everyone's so successful. But it is a constant battle. And I would say, and I'm so annoyed by it. Well, first of all, this is a new term. I think in the last couple of years, I've never heard that term. Then when I did and kind of read what it was about, I was like, that's me. Oh my gosh, that's absolutely me. And I'm annoyed after all this time and my age, I still have this. This is so silly. I just want someone to kick me in the shins really hard and tell me, woman, you're a badass. And then for me to actually internalize it and believe it, because it's a struggle. And I would say both professionally and personally, all the way from, who am I to own my own business, or all the way to my appearance. It's how and how sad that we think that way. And Kendyl touched on it when you walk on stage. It was so interesting. I've been to Woman Up 2 times, the in-person events, and just in awe with people's stories. Absolutely in awe with people's stories. And what's the first thing I thought? Why the hell would anyone want to hear mine? Because these ladies are unbelievable what they have overcome in their lives. So yes, I would say it's a constant battle. I still try to work on it on the daily, but I make small improvements, I would say.
Right, well, we're getting lots of comments in the chat, and I we'll kind of do some questions at the end. But someone asked, like, how do you know how people see you? And I will just refer to what Kendyl said. I've just thought you were great for 30 years. Well, I'm like shocked by that. Like, someone would think I'm great, but you hear that, people tell you, and you're just like not believing, but maybe you should, maybe you should kind of take that to heart. So anyway, another topic that came up in your answers at the conference was this idea of not knowing. And I think successful in the real estate business, you're kind of in control of everything, right? I mean, you've just got a detail person, you're out there, making a statement, being visible, all of that. And yet here you're changing to something very different, either a niche or a total reboot. And how do you handle that? Like, just not kind of knowing how it's going to work out. And I'll start with you, Kendyl, this time.
It's interesting as I'm on record as being a middle-aged woman with slight OCD challenges. I like everything to be ordered and organized and systematized. It's just like who I am. That being said, I'm very easily bored, and I thrive off of learning something new. So I guess probably I should have left real estate sales a long time ago, because although every deal is different, every deal is exactly the same, right? So this whole new thing with the ADUs, I know nothing. I mean, I went into it knowing nothing. I have applied my usual obsessive compulsive learning habits towards it. And I still feel like I know nothing. So
Same here with crypto, girl.
Yeah.
I totally get you. I'm like,
there's so much more to learn, right, Piper? And you're just like
Yeah.
going, well, geez, you know, it at the same time though, aren't you constantly amazed at how many experts, and they're usually guys, are out there talking about crypto who know so much less than you do, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right? And you're
Yeah.
like, well, that was wrong.
Yeah. I just sit there and I'm like, I don't want to get into this conversation.
So I mean, talk about imposter syndrome. I mean, seriously, like anyway,
yeah.
But to go back to the question, I like new, and I do like a new challenge. I love learning something new. So
That's terrific. What about you, Gina, with not knowing?
Not
Certainly
knowing.
when you moved to Maui, you probably had no idea you were
No.
going to end up on a world tour with Deepak Chopra, right?
Right. True. I would say I love change, but I fear the unknown for sure. And I'm assuming those probably usually don't go hand in hand, but I do enjoy change a lot, but super fearful. And I'm always thinking about what's next, what should happen, you know, so the whole unknown of anything is whether I'm going to get the transaction done or not, or whether I'm going to get that listing, or you know, whatever that is. So I certainly struggle with the unknown.
Well, how do you overcome it, right? Because it isn't freezing you, right? I mean, at some point you just say, okay, I'm afraid.
Let it go.
Fine,
Yeah.
I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say that it doesn't freeze me, thankfully, because I definitely keep going. Interestingly, when things like this, fears come up like this, I do come back and meditate or breathe or ask the universe, ask God for support, or ask for answers, that sort of thing. So I would say that's probably my go-to for help with that. But thankfully, and gratefully, I don't freeze.
We can see that. Piper, what about you?
Oh boy. Well, I gotta say that a lot of that being afraid of the unknown was beat out of me during COVID, you know, like during lockdown, because like I said, before lockdown, before the world stopped, I was already on like a downward trajectory because I was hacked. I lost everything. I was barely surviving. And then, you know, and then COVID hit. And a friend of mine jokingly said, COVID is the best thing that could have possibly happened to you, because the world stopped and everybody was in trouble at that point, you know, but I had nothing to do other than to go up from there. So I think we talked about this, Gina, before, being a Joe Dispenza reader, and I follow all of his meditations. If you haven't read his books, I highly recommend them. He talks about going into the unknown, and I had a lot of time on my hands. And so that's what I did. I just sat down and I just meditated, and I got used to not knowing what was going to happen, and but the trick is be okay with not knowing. And once you let go of all that and just be like, okay, you know, I have no idea what's going to happen. That's when the gifts start coming to you, because you're not locked into, you know, they always say, like, you know, in you know, Buddhism and whatnot, like you can't be fixated on the outcome.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, just as long as you let it go, the gifts come to you, and you're in that state that, you know, you're just going to be taken care of no matter what. And I could not, it's like the best thing that could have happened to me, honestly, because now my business is thriving. You know, I went from, you know, being way deep in the red to now being way in the black, you know, in just a very short amount of time. And, you know, there's listings come and go, clients come and go, you know, but I just, you know, and when things start to go south, I'm like, I just have to center myself and go, you know what, I'm going to be okay no matter what. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to be okay.
I just love that. I mean, you've created a methodology where you're just always supported regardless. You know, it's not like this. It's just, this is all going to work out. And guess what? It does.
It does. It really does.
Right. Right. All right, I want to talk about money now, because it came up, and it's really a sensitive topic for me because I grew up in a family where we did not talk about money ever. That it was kind of uncouth to give someone money as a gift. That I never knew what my father was a college professor, so I wasn't a lot, but I never knew how much anybody made. I remember when a coworker of mine said one of her best days was calling her mother and telling her what her end of year bonus was. And I thought, like, I've never told anyone what my end of year bonus was. And I thought, like, oh my God, there's a whole different way of thinking about money. Now, probably none of that is related to the question I'm going to ask you, but I'd like to, obviously, when you switch, right, when you leave one thing that you're successful and good at, for some of you, maybe in a crisis and you're in the red, whatever, and you move to something else where the income stream is not assured. What does that look like, and how do you think that through to make those decisions? I want to start with you, Gina, this time.
Sure. I would say, well, first of all, I am grateful that I feel very comfortable talking about money. Although it wasn't talked about growing up, I, for some reason, feel like I have a really good relationship with money. I respect money. I consider money to be energy. Many people that grew up with this notion that money is evil. And when you have those misguided beliefs, the chances are you're not going to have money, or the universe is not going to allow money to flow to you. So I think that there's just so many toxic beliefs around money. There isn't enough. I don't deserve wealth, or having money is selfish, or greedy, or the root of all evil. That's a big one. And there's so many, right? I mean, we all grew up with these different sayings. I'm not good with money. That's my favorite. Okay, that's BS. I'm not good with money. Change your paradigm, shift that, have a different belief, and be good with money, because money is not evil, and it's really it's energy, in my opinion. So I feel grateful that I haven't had that struggle with a relationship of money, although I do understand that that's out there, and I feel like I have a whole lot of other struggles, but that relationship's not one of them.
I mean, that's really terrific, and I agree with you, and I've really made a lot of progress on that, and I hope others have too, because women need to get over it and realize that in many situations they're going to be in, money equals value, and you should not discount yourself. So Piper, what about you? Have you had a journey with money?
Oh yeah, I've had to unlearn a lot of things that did not belong to me. Honestly, I grew up with my parents and just like deep sense of lack. You know, there just was never enough. And my grandparents also raised me, and they were educators as well. You know, so they didn't really talk about money that much either. You know, so it was like it was just kind of like a mysterious thing that we just never had enough of. And you know, I mean, college was a struggle. I mean, everything was a struggle, and that's what was ingrained in me. And it's only been in the last few years, actually, you know, that I've actually been in real estate, you know, because then I was, you know, I moved out to California. I was in the entertainment industry. I hung out, you know, I mentioned this in the panel. I hung out with a lot of broke entertainment people, you know, and that's all we talked about is how broke we were, you know. So I had to like really change who I hung out with and my beliefs around it, and realize that these beliefs are not mine, and I don't agree with that, and just let it all go. And that's like when things started just kind of pouring in. I mean, the gifts just come to you like when you lose all this crap around it. And you know, and they, you know, say, oh, well, money can't buy you happiness. That is BS, you guys. I mean, yes, it will absolutely buy you happiness. It is a tool, and you know, it's just like it's a tool to get what you want in life, and you know, to pay your bills and have some fun. You know, and I don't subscribe to that at all anymore.
So, oh gosh.
Yeah. Piper, I loved when you talked about how your friends and you would stand around or sit around and talk about who's more broke or how you're broke. And it's like that for a lot of people is a badge of honor.
Yeah,
Right there.
absolutely.
It's almost like they're
We's broke, but we's
Yeah,
happy.
right.
Right? No, it's not.
Gosh, that is such a limiting
Yeah.
belief and thought that we need to all let go of.
Absolutely.
Oh,
This is
Gina,
such good
I
stuff.
absolutely.
Kendall, your turn, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
Well, what I want to say first though is that Gina said, and you just have to, I have to repeat it for everybody because it is so awesome. She said, money is energy.
Right.
And it is absolutely true. Money is energy. Everybody write that down because it's fucking genius.
I did write it down.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like if you take nothing else from this, just write down that Gina said that money is energy. That that's your takeaway. So here's my thing about money. Having it is lovely. I mean, it's absolutely lovely. And I believe that for me, money is a scorekeeper of the values that I've brought to this life. Yeah, the fact that I have money means that I have brought some real value to this earth. It's mattered that I've walked on this earth. At least that's how I choose to look at it. But yeah, I don't believe money itself is a problem. For me, what is a problem, and will always be a problem, is the coveting of money. Specifically coveting more money. And the other problem is identifying yourself based on your money. That I think is so yeah, I have a pretty big problem with that actually. And whenever I'm in a place where I'm identifying myself either by celebrity, notice, likes, money, anything that's external, and Gina, you'll get this, right? External referential. It's just, it's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and money can be very toxic when it's an external reference to yourself.
Wow.
But if it's internal, it's just something that is helping me to keep score and to regulate my energy and to help me decide, should I do this or this? It's like, oh, well, I like the energy of that. And that energy actually also has money. Like that's okay. That's cool. But to do that because I'll be number fucking one. Number one, sorry. That's not okay. Right. So yeah, that's where I'm at on money. Your specific question though is, did something have to change in order to
go from digs to ADUs?
Right. And yeah, I did have to change because I needed to feel like I had accomplished what I need to accomplish. And part of what I needed to accomplish with digs was securing our financial security. Yeah. And there was a long period where I was doing real estate sales because I hadn't secured our financial security yet. But I did that. So now I'm doing this. And then the one other thing that I just kind of want to say, and again, this is a problem with our industry, is that we tend to value bigness more than profit. Yeah. So there is this I don't know, there's an elevation for those agents who spend a lot of money and they make a lot of sales. But I know several agents that are spending $1 million, $2 million a year on marketing, and their personal income is not that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in this new business, I've got the same attitude with it that I have with my old business, which is I would rather sell less and make less if I get to keep more of it. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, look at what you're doing as a business is really critical.
You talked about spending also, and I feel like the opposite of is holding on really tight. And I think there's that energy piece as well. And there's, the more you give, the more comes back to you multiplied. And that's with anything in life, but it's big with money too. And to not have that grip so so tight. And I do believe that's a universal law, right? The more you give, the more comes back to you
I
multiplied.
probably need to talk to you later about that. Maybe help me a little on that. That'd be great.
That'd be
Yeah,
great.
I'm Chinese. I come from a long line of black thinkers, you know. We're the ones that keep all of the produce bags.
The reality is no one gets out of here alive, you know, and to not be open to opportunities when you're in the prime of life and then get to the point where it's too late. I mean, you can't do all this great stuff you're doing every single decade, sometimes even if you want to. I mean, circumstances change, your physical, you know what I'm saying? It's sometimes you just gotta YOLO, right? You only live once. Okay, my last question before we get to the rapid fire questions has to do with taking care of yourself, which kind of falls into that basket of balance and all of that, that no one ever gets it right and no one's ever happy that they're doing it. And I don't know anyone that, I don't know what doing it right means, but I'd love to hear from each of you and start with you, Kendyl, in terms of how do you take care of yourself? And was it even more important when you went into an unfamiliar territory?
You know, I don't know if it's as unfamiliar territory as it is. COVID is the gift that keeps on giving. It really is. With COVID, I realized that I need a lot of downtime. I need a lot of cave time. I present as an extrovert, and you know, open houses, blah blah blah. Put myself out there, yeah. So I now know that I need a lot of cave time, which is awesome, and I'm doing a lot more of that even now that we've come out of it. But the other thing is learning how to play. That's a learned skill that I didn't have. You know, it's like if there was unscheduled time, then I was being a lazy loser, right? And so it's like, oh, better fill out that time. It's like it's 10 o'clock and you haven't accomplished. What are you doing sitting in front of the television? It's 10 o'clock at night. You better go write a blog post. You know, it got kind of crazy. So part of this new thing that I'm doing, coded into the business plan, was I will only do this new thing if I get to do all the things. And that's like our mantra. Right now I'm in Las Vegas this very moment. And you said, we do coffee and cars. And I went, oh, I'm in Las Vegas. And then I went, no, I'm going to do all the things.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. What about you, Gina?
I would say the art of learning when to say yes and when to say no. I think that sometimes we feel, this is part of the imposter syndrome too, we feel bad when we say no. And there's nothing that can be such a disservice to ourselves and other people when we say yes to things that we really should be saying no to. And I think when you can differentiate and really hone in on what you really want to say yes to, then when you show up, you're showing up with all of your splendor for everyone. Right. And when you show up to something you don't want to be at, or you don't want to do, or you take on a job or a role that you don't want to do, it creates toxicity within yourself, and it permeates. So I am by no means have got this down 100%, but it's something that I feel like is a work in progress, is really internalizing and going in and saying, is this what I want to do or go to or spend time with, the person I want to spend time with, and who, and on the opposite, do I want to do this or do I want to say no?
Right. And no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
Piper.
Oh gosh, Gina hit it on the head. Really, it is a lot of being able to say no, setting those boundaries, even though if it's uncomfortable for yourself, you got to be somewhat okay with being the jerk in that situation, because I'm going through it right now, and I mean, what you don't learn, you repeat. I'm repeating it right now. I've got clients right now that are really asking a lot, and and as real estate professionals, we want to be that person. You know, we want our clients to be happy, but at the same time, it's like, oh, wait, this is crossing my boundary. How do we come to a neutral ground, you know, and without me feeling, you know, completely just exhausted and depleted and all that. So I'm actually having to go through that right now. So it's just, you know, it's definitely saying no, gratitude, you know, just, you know, when I get that, that negative energy that's like, you know, feeling, and just from, you know, being a realtor, you know, it's being still and being grateful for everything that is going right now, and then focusing on what I do like about real estate. What do I love? Oh, I love the crypto part. Let's focus on that for a little bit, and, you know, tune out the noise. So, you know, it's just, you'll know, I don't think you'll ever find that balance, but you can definitely strive for it.
Yeah, you can. And what I get from all of you, it's, I don't want to say daily struggle, but it's a daily practice.
Yeah.
And
Certainly.
you really do need to fill your tank. And like Kendyl said, you know, I learned that I need a lot of downtime. And
yeah.
You know what? That's great. It's your life. You get to do that. All right, I'm going to switch over to some rapid fire questions. And so just short and sweet, and then we'll look in the chat. So some of them I stole from the Actors Studio, and some of them are mine. But the first one is and I'll start with Gina Piper Kendyl. We'll go in that order. Gina, favorite word, least favorite word.
Favorite word, tacos. Least favorite word, yes.
Great.
Oh my God. Okay. How do I follow that? Favorite word, I can't say. Kendyl said it earlier. It starts with, I say it multiple times a day, and I'm, you know, that's just me, but least favorite
We got
word.
it.
Yeah. Least favorite word is will, it's 2 words. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Love that. Yes. Kendyl.
Obstreperous. It falls trippingly from the tongue. And stupid.
Okay, what turns you on and what turns you off, Gina?
Gosh, turns me on. Soft caresses on my lower back. Oh, just
Oh,
oh, we're not going there. Okay.
We can go wherever you want.
What turns me on is tidiness, and what turns me off is clutter. I absolutely can't live with clutter in my life. I cannot do it.
Well, I am looking at all the clean surfaces in your background and thinking that looks great. Looks serene. Piper.
Kindness. I love kindness. Just people in the act of kindness. And turned off is know-it-alls. Can't handle it.
What
Kendyl.
turns me on is acquiring new skills, and what turns me off is stagnation.
I just want to respond to Michael Tesaro, who said TMI, and I'm saying to Michael, welcome to the club. Okay, Gina, what profession other than
I know my buddy Michael Tesaro.
I know, right?
And I hope he knows that that was a joke.
What profession other than your own would you attempt?
I want to be a bartender on a tropical island.
Oh, okay, that's better. You know what? I would be an attorney for underprivileged kids, probably. So, yeah.
Kendyl.
Either teaching or singing, which is a problem because I can't sing past 4 bars, but I do those 4 bars really well.
Hey,
You have a niche.
Yes.
How do you, Gina, how do you define success?
Happiness, my level of happiness.
Piper.
you know, somebody put freedom on our little,
Yeah,
that's
definitely
me.
freedom. Yeah, I'm going to steal it, Kendyl. Sorry, freedom.
That's okay. That's cool. It's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
What memory stands out of the COVID experience for you, Gina? Is there one memory that's just going to be there forever for you?
I would say puzzling, which is crazy, but I have this big island in my kitchen and we pull out these jigsaw puzzles, and 2 of my best girlfriends come over and we are puzzling maniacs.
Cool.
Well, besides my uptick in martinis, it was really just sitting down on my sofa and meditating when I started to do the freakouts, about what's going to happen. It's just, all right. And when I freaked out the most, that's where I sat down and just had to be still.
I'm a Los Angeles native, so the empty streets and freeways were just amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing how livable LA is when there's no one on the roads. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, if you could go back in time and give the young you one piece of advice, what would it be?
Gosh, have faith, and it's going to be a great ride. Because the fear of that unknown, right, was always there for me. So if I could just tell myself it's going to be a great ride.
Piper.
Don't listen to the negative people.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Geez, mine was so much more practical. Mine was invest more in past client marketing.
Oh, I want that one too.
All right. I now, Gina, biggest regret.
Probably taking things personally in a transaction. I have a pretty thin skin, and still after all these years, I still take things personally and lose sleep over stuff.
Piper,
Agree. Probably not starting to travel the world earlier. For some reason, I felt like it wasn't accessible to me, but I mean, there's still time, but I just wish I would have started in my 20s.
Yeah. Kendyl.
Spending so little money in marketing, and referencing other stuff that we said. I don't like to spend money. I probably should have.
All right. Do you have a morning routine, and just walk us through it real quick if you do, Gina?
Okay. Sipping coffee in bed with my husband and 3 dogs. It's a lot in one bed, but we seem to do it every morning. Read my vision statement, journal, meditate. And I just started wordling. Do you guys know what that is? It's so cool. So that's another morning routine I just added to the mix.
You're going to learn to hate that, by the way. You get really annoyed by it.
Oh, is that right? Okay. It's only been about 2 or 3 weeks for me. So
yeah. Oh, you're still there. It'll become like a thorn in your side. Piper. Yeah, it's like I got to do the wordle today, whether I went to or not. But for me, I get up very, very early during the week. My boyfriend makes fun of me all the time. I get up around 4:30, meditate, take the dog for a walk, I exercise, do the breakfast thing, and then I sit down and I plan my day out and I journal and all that. So that's every morning.
Awesome. Great tools. Kendyl.
I do the 5 Tibetans, which is kind of sort of a yoga thing. Coffee, black, always. I zero out my email box. I can't stand non-read emails. Review the calendar, and then any critical to-dos get slotted into a calendar slot.
Great. Tell us quickly about a person who's really impacted your life, because I know at the conference we're doing books or podcasts, but I'm just interested, is there one person that you kind of, wow, thank you, Gina?
I would say my grandfather, who's not with us anymore. He had such a sense of equanimity, and it's a quality that I struggle with. And he just was, I miss that man, but absolutely lovely, calm, gentle man.
Wonderful. Piper.
I have to say my grandfather as well. He was my rock growing up in a very tumultuous, stressed out childhood. And he was always there for me, always, whether I wanted it or not, So I have him to thank for everything that's going right in my life.
Oh, that's incredible.
I love
Great.
that.
Me too.
Well, for me, it's my husband, because he's everything that I am not, and I am so unbalanced without him. So we've been together for 38 years, married for 36, and we're rarely apart. So
love that. Okay, my last one is from the Actors Studio. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates? Gina.
Oh my gosh. Damn, you kick some ass out there, woman.
All right. Piper.
We have all the raw cookie dough you could possibly eat without gaining any weight or getting salmonella. So,
A girl after my own heart.
Oh gosh.
And Piper. I'm sorry, and Kendyl.
Yeah, you done
Piper.
good, kid. You done good.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you all. I'm just going to look in the chat really quick, so don't leave quite yet because we have just a great TMI. A question from the audience, and this is from Kathy Sharif. Women are conditioned to underestimate themselves while men tend to overestimate their expertise, and we find oneself in the wrinkle of that time. Who would we be if we reverse that thought? What if we were more than we ever dreamed of? Anybody have a thought on that?
I do actually, and this actually came up in my meditation group last night. One of my mantras that I have to work on is it's safe for me to be a powerful woman. And I've been playing my whole life. It's like we're taught to play small. Don't raise your head up above anybody else. You're going to get criticized. You're going to get talked about and written about and all that. And people don't like successful people, for the most part, but especially like women, we have a much harder time with it.
Yeah.
It's
got
all
a bullseye on our back for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. I love her comment about playing small because I feel like so many of us do that. We play small. It's like, let's play big.
Yeah.
Let's do woman spreading, right? Kathy, thank you for such a great question. What is the name of the book and the author? And we've had a couple of great books. You Are a Badass at Making Money. Someone recommended was a good book. Did anyone recommend? Maybe Piper? Did you have a book that you recommended?
Probably Becoming Supernatural.
Okay.
That is a complete game changer. I think I've mentioned that
Love
on our
him.
panel. Yeah, he's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
One of our Lupita says, I'm a property manager and I don't feel like I get the respect or people really understand what I do. And that's, I'm sorry to hear that, because certainly rental housing it's going to be big, right?
Yeah.
As
I got
we
it
go
though.
in
Sorry.
the future. How do you see yourself? Oh, I think I addressed that. How do you see yourself as others see you? I guess that's it. So I just want to thank you all for being here. You're all terrific. I really appreciate it. I took a lot of notes and I just appreciate, you guys are just doing great. And I just
well, I think I speak for the group here. We really appreciate you and everything that the Woman Up platform is doing in our industry and our society. Being able to celebrate and to talk about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and equally the things that hold us back is such a valuable conversation that we were taught to not have. And you're helping us to have that. And that's so important.
Love that. What an honor and a blessing for all of us to come together like this.
Yes.
Right. Because we have so much in common, being women and being in this wonderful industry. And there's always more to learn. So just hugs to all of you. Thank you. And thank you to everyone that was on today. And I hope you'll be back next week for whatever Deborah and Sarah have planned. I'm sure it's going to be terrific. So anyway, have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Women Unite for all the support. Happy birthday, Jeannie Radsick.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.